What the hell is this? Why am I being thrown around like a soccer ball? Jesus Christ. I swear, I need more stability in my build. And hello YouTube, this is GSmaniamsmart here today with another brand new video for Gaming with JS, and today we're here on Guild Wars 2, and I want to give you 7 tips to make you a better PvP player. 7 tips that will help you improve your PvP skills, especially if you're new to PvP, even if you're a veteran to PvP. Unless you're sitting at Plat or Legendary, then I think this video will be helpful to you, because there are a lot of things in here that a lot of times we forget, we are too lazy to do. It crosses our mind, we're too engaged with the battle, and we completely forget about some of these key concepts, and they're so crucial and important. Now, these might not be the top 7 tips that are, the must know, but they are 7 tips that I thought were very important that came to my head as I was making this video. Now, why am I making this video? One, because the original video for this weekend was supposed to be my journey to gold. I was going to record the last 2 games that I needed to win to get to gold. I won one of them, and then what do you know, the second game that I needed to win, I was at like 1242, I need 8 more points to get into gold, and the last game that I needed to win, I of course lost. I don't know if it was my fault, but I saw a lot of people going into 3v1s, I saw people running into places that they shouldn't be running into because they obviously weren't looking at the map, but from there on, everything just went downhill, so that motivated me to make this video. Plus, as I was going over some of the comments on Saturday, I was replying to a lot of your comments. I did see a couple of you asking for a video on PvP tips, so I thought, it's a great time to make that video. So today we're going to go over these 7 tips that I think are important and you should know about. I may not follow these tips all the time either, so if you see in the footage where I'm basically not doing what I'm telling you to do, it doesn't mean that I'm being a hypocrite. It just means that, a lot of times we do forget about these things, and if you're too into the game and you're not thinking properly, then sometimes you forget. But I do try my best to remember all these tips, and you should try your best as well because it can help you in the long run. So for one, I want to talk about dying. Don't die. This is the #1 tip I can give you. Don't die. Why? Because it's an easy tip. It's easy to remember, and it should always be in the back of your head. Now, it seems like a simple tip, but I'm telling you, there are a lot of times I see people wanting to die. Not literally, and maybe they don't really want to die, but what they're doing, it's like basically saying, yeah, I want to die. Because what they're doing is just completely mind-blowingly questionable, it's just questionable. Now, I'm not saying don't die at all. You're obviously going to have games where you will die, and that's fine, but try to minimize your deaths as much as possible. When I'm playing my LE support, I die 0 to 2 times per game. Now that could mean because I am playing a support role that can heal a lot and that has a lot of defenses, but when I play on my Guardian, I don't die a lot either. And it's mainly because I've learned to remember and understand and keep the next few tips that I'll go over in my head. If you can reduce your deaths, that is a very key component to winning games, because every death gives the enemy 5 points. And if you only die 3 times, well, guess what? Your team might die 3 times also only. But 3 times 5 is 15. And 15 times 5 is 75 points. If each of your team members dies 3 times, it's 75 points to the enemy team. That could be the difference between a win or loss. So if you can minimize your deaths as much as possible, then do it. Now, I know you're thinking, this is a conquest-based game. This is a capture-the-point game. Why should deaths hurt my team so much? Well, it's because what the math that I just explained to you. If you can reduce your deaths by 2 or 3, you're potentially saving your team 10 to 15 points. And how many times have you played a game where if you lost the game because you were 10 points down or 15 points down? Well, if you would have died 2 or 3 times less, or if each one of your teammates would have died 1 or 2 times less, you could have won that game. You wouldn't have lost by 10, 15 points. Now, one way you can prevent this is by following all the other tips that I have in this video, or also by making sure you have some defensive stats and some defensive skills. Don't just go full berserker, full aggressiveness into PvP. You're going to get wrecked. Have some healing, have some defense, have some stability, have some Condi cleanse. And, have a strong kit. If you're going to go aggressive, have a strong kit to kill quickly in a 1v1. That's fine. If you want to go full berserk and full aggressive mode, make sure you know how to use your skills. Make sure you know how to eliminate someone very quickly in a 1v1. And then maybe you'll be fine. But I encourage you to have defensive stats. PvP is not only about offensive and attacking, it's about defensive stats as well. The second tip I have is look at the map. Now, once again, maybe a very simple tip, and everyone should know it, but you don't know how many times I see people not looking at the map. People in Silver 3, Silver 2, Gold 1 are still not looking at the map. And how can I tell? Because I see people running into 3v1s mid. Why would you go into a 3v1 middle? If you were looking at the map, you would see that there are a bunch of people middle. I'm not going to go middle because I'm going to die. So look at the map. And I'm not saying just look at the map for the sake of looking at the map. Look at the map because you want to look at the map and understand what's going on in the map. Understand where people are on the map. Know where your team is. Know where the enemy team is. Know when certain buffs are going to spawn. Look at the map to gain information on planning your next move. If you're making a blind move without looking at a map, then you're making a wrong move. Every time you go to a new point, look at the map first and see if it's worth going there. Are there swords over that point? Is it a 1v1 with my team and another enemy? Does that person need help? Then I'll go over there. Is my point being taken by 2 people and I'm the only one going over there? Well, maybe I shouldn't go over there because I'm going to lose the point and then die also. So look at the map. It's very important. The map is there for a reason, to give you information and to show you where people are. So use the map. The third tip that I have for you is look at people's health bars. I myself don't always look at people's health bar either, but more and more I am learning that this is very important. Mainly because it can help you decide where to go, and it can also help you decide on when you should be using your skills, especially if you're playing a defensive role or a support role. If you see a 1v1 happening at your home base, but your guy is full health, there's no reason for you to go over there and help him because he pretty much has it in the bag. He's controlling himself. He's able to bunk that point and keep points rolling while keeping the enemy team member busy there. So don't bother going over there to try and help him. You already have the point. Rather than getting 5 points off of a kill, help your team cap another point or keep another point. Health bars are extremely important to see how people are doing in the game and which people need help. If you see your team struggling and about to die, use your heal skills. Don't use your heal skills in the middle of the fight when everyone is full health. Use your heal skill when you see people on the left side, the health bars are there, just look at them, and if you see people low on health, use your heal skills, use your auras, use your defensive skills, give them boons, give them stuff that can help them. That's when you should be using your defensive skills and your heal skills, by looking at the health bars just. There's a lot of information on the screen that can really help you. Even the conditions that you see on people. If you see a lot of people have conditions, well then take the conditions from them. Cleanse the conditions from them. There's a lot of information on the screen. You need to take advantage of it. The fourth tip that I have for you is fight on point. Now you may have heard this a lot in your PvP matches, and if you don't know what that is, I'll explain it to you, but this is very important. Fighting on point means you're not fighting in random locations. You're not fighting in the middle of the road. You're not fighting against a wall. You're not fighting at your home base or at the enemy's home base. Fighting on point means you are fighting in the circles. In the points that you're supposed to capture, that's where the majority, 95% of your fighting should be happening within the point boundaries. Now, once again, you might be thinking, this game is about capturing points. Why do I need to worry about fighting in the first place? Well, here's why. People like to fight and kill people, right? Yes, I understand that. If you can wreck someone very easily in a 1v1, it feels great. But why would you do it in the middle of nowhere, or why would you do it off point? If you kill the person, you're risking the chance for your point to be taken. Sure, you might kill the person and gain 5 points for your team, but if you lose the point in the long run, it's going to be a lot harder to get that point back than it is to just kill a person. In PvP, if you're playing ranked, Conquest is about keeping points. Your primary objective should be to hold the points. If you can get some kills on the point, that's great. But if you hold the point and then kill on the point, not only are you keeping the points rolling for the point that you're holding, but you also get to kill them. So you get double the reward by fighting on point. If you fight off point, you're risking a chance of losing a point. You're basically losing points. So it's only, you get one reward where you could be getting double, and potentially you might even be losing a reward because they might get your point in the long run. Now, if you're running off of the point to capture another one, that's fine. If you're running off of the point to help defend another point, that's fine. If you're doing any type of offensive or defensive technique to try and help your team keep a point or take a point, then that's fine to get off the point. But there should be no other reason for you to leave a point and to revive someone 5 miles away in the middle of nowhere, or to kill someone 5 miles away. It's just not worth it. 5 points is not going to help your team as much as keeping that point and getting a point every second or two. So holding a point is much more important. The 5th tip I have for you is learn to understand that decapping, which means when you go into a circle and it turns from the enemy's team color to white, that is good enough. It's good enough to decap. You don't need to devote yourself to capturing the point. And here's why. Now, in most cases, you'll be able to capture the point, and that's great. If you can capture the point, great. You've earned your team points. But if it's a close game, just decap the point and then help your team keep your other points and defend them. If you see people coming to you while you're trying to cap a point, if you're one person decapping a point, you got it to white, good job. But if you see 2 enemy team members coming to you and you're about to go into 1v2, why would you stay there and fight 2 people as one person just to try and keep that point? Not only are you gonna die and give the enemy team 5 points, but you're also gonna lose the point again and give them more points. So rather than just giving them free 5 points because you couldn't just run away, you decapped the point already. You've accomplished something. Decapping a point means the enemy team is not getting any more points for that point that you just decapped. So you're basically keeping them under control. If you can decap points, it's just as effective as capping them. Because if you cap them, you gain your team points and the enemy team gets no points. But if you decap them and you have other points, you're still gaining points, but the enemy team is not. So if you have the opportunity to fully cap a point, do it. But if you don't see the opportunity, don't stand there and try to fight a 2v1. Don't be so hard-headed and try to fully cap the point when you know yourself you might not win the fight. Just run away. You did your job. You've accomplished something. You've decapped the point and move on. Help your team defend another point. The 6th tip I have for you is know when to back off and know what battles to fight and know what battles to run away from. Now, I see a lot of people that don't like running away because they feel like it makes them unskillful. A lot of times people will throw hate speech at you for running away and call you names. However, ignore all that. Try to play smart. If you're about to jump into a 1v3, don't do it. If you're about to jump into a fight where your teammate is dying, if your teammate is already dying on the floor, and there are 2, 3 other enemies around him, why bother going in to try and revive him? 1, you're not going to have enough time to revive him because there's 3 other people or 2 other people doing damage to you and to him on the ground. 2, if you end up reviving him, you're probably going to be low health already. Unless you have an invulnerability skill, then it might work. But you'll be low health already. And they'll kill you both again. And 3, if it's on a point, even worse, you'll lose the point, and then you'll also have 2 deaths to the enemy's score points, so you'll give them even more points to their score just because you had to jump in there and try to be a hero, even though you know you couldn't have done it because it's 2 other people versus 1 of you and 1 person that's already downed. Now, if you have a person coming with you, that's fine. But jumping into a 1v3 or jumping into a fight to try and revive someone or jumping in by yourself to do anything, if you're jumping into anything by yourself and it's not a fair fight, then don't do it because the odds are against you. Unless you're this crazy good person that can 2v1 and do an amazing job, that might work in bronze where people suck. But if you're in silver or gold or plat, people kind of know what they're doing. They kind of know how to use their skills. Sure, they may be lacking a bit on communication, they may be lacking a bit on map awareness, but But I guarantee you, anybody in silver or gold knows how to 1v1 fairly good. You might run into the, terrible oddball, but most people know how to play their class in silver and gold and up. So thinking you can do a 2v1 is just putting yourself to die and giving the enemy a free 5 points. Know when to run away, know when to fight, and respect your enemy's skill. And I know some people may have different opinions, but this is from what I've seen. I've seen most people know how to play their class. They just don't know how to work with other people that well. And the last tip that I have for you is don't be an asshole. Don't be a jerk to people. Try to be cooperative with people. Try to be nice to them. Try to be respectful, because at the end of the day, this is still just a game. It's still humans that are playing this game and are behind the screens. And we all make mistakes. We're all playing the game to try to have fun. So instead of sitting there and bashing each other and saying, you suck, help them. And it's okay to get mad. It's okay to get mad and say, why are you doing this? Try to do this. It's okay to come off as a bit harsh and irritated, but don't name call them. Don't say they suck. Don't say they should quit queuing. Don't say they should go back to PvE. Don't do any of that stuff. The fact of the reality is, you're playing with that person, and you're bashing them isn't going to help them. It's just going to make you lose the game even more. And if you see one person in your rank already not knowing what they're doing, then instead of just bashing them, help them out so they can spread the message and maybe help other people too. If you see a person not looking at the map and going into 3v1s, don't say, what are you doing, you stupid idiot? Stop going to 3v1s. Just tell them, please look at the map. We have a map for a reason. You see 3 people in the middle, there's no reason for you to go middle. Map awareness is important. Now, yeah, some people might say you're trying to come off as a bit cocky or come off as arrogant or a bit harsh, but it's a lot better than saying you suck. It's a lot better at giving them some valuable information rather than just saying you suck, go quit the game, go kill yourself, uninstall. It's a lot better than that, isn't it? At least you give them some valuable information. If you can say a bit nicer than that, obviously, yes, it's better, but I know we get all irritated. So, as long as you give them valuable information and you actually help them in some way, it's better than doing nothing. It's better than just bashing them. And I guess this shouldn't even be worth saying because you are playing a competitive game, but say GG, be respectful to the other team. I see a lot of games where people just leave the game or they'll make a snarky comment and then leave. Like, the point of PvPing is to have fun and to, work with other people and show off your skills. And if you're not going to be respectful or cooperative or say GG, or even if you say nothing, it's better than saying something snarky or stupid. If you're going to say nothing, that's fine. But if you're going to say anything, then at least say GG. Don't just leave and write some stupid snarky comment to, belittle people or try to make yourself seem better than the rest of your team, because if you lost the game, part of it is your fault. A part of winning is having a good attitude and a positive attitude. If you can spread the positivity, if you can engage in a good connection of communication with your team, higher chance of you winning. So those are pretty much all the tips that I have. There are a lot more tips about communication, about pinging, about team comps, about countering, about the class that you might play, about countering the other team and switching between classes, when to run or when to fight from a point, or when you should be making certain decisions, when to stay and defend, or when to go for secondary objectives and being aware of secondary objectives. And there's a lot of other things that I could go over, but I think a lot of those are a bit more specific to people and a bit more specific to certain players and certain classes and certain maps. So I just wanted to make a general video of some general tips. If you like this video, if you thought it was helpful, then go and leave a comment down below. I'll make another video maybe with some other tips that may be a bit more specific, that may not be as basic as these. These tips are sort of just generalized and some basic tips that everyone should know. If you're playing PvP, these are the tips that you should be using. It doesn't matter if you're an elementalist, a guardian, it doesn't matter if you're a bronze or a gold. All the tips that I just went over, all of these tips apply to you, and I think they're very important to know about and very important to remember when you're playing a game. Because you could play an amazing guardian, you could play an amazing warrior, an elementalist, or a ranger, or a necro, or a mesmer, whatever the case may be. You could play a class that you know everything about, and you could wreck people left and right, and you can 1v1, 2v1, 3v1 maybe even, and you can be the best player at your class possible. But if you don't know how to be a good team player, if you don't know how to communicate with your team, If you don't know how to analyze the other team's moves, your team's moves, if you don't know how to be aware about the map, if you don't know how to be aware about what's happening in the game, then you're not a good player, and you will lose more games than you win. Because while you may be sitting there getting a bunch of kills, the enemy team might be out-rotating you, or might be capturing more points and holding them on longer, or focusing more on secondary objectives. PvP is not about yourself, it's not about you, it's not about how many kills you get, it's not about how many points you decap or capture. It has nothing to do with you. And I see a lot of people focus on themselves a lot. PvP deals with your team. It tests how well you can work with your team, and it tests how well you can counter the enemy team and respond to what the enemy team is doing. So you shouldn't be focusing on yourself, you should be focusing on your team and the enemy team. And a lot of times very early on in PvP, including for myself, a lot of times I looked at the score and I thought, wow, I have a lot of kills, I have a lot of healing power, I have a lot of revives, I have 0 deaths. A lot of times it makes you feel good, and it should make you feel good that you're playing good. But it's more important that you learn to play with other people, and you learn to play against other people competitively and in a good environment, and to keep a healthy mindset. Those are sort of all the tips that I have. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. It might be a bit longer than I intended to, but I do think everything that I said in this video is important and can help you become a better PvP player. It's definitely helped me. I've become a much better player myself, and I am very close to becoming gold. Like I said, I'm not the best PvP player, and maybe I don't even have a right to be giving you tips because I may be just as terrible as the next guy, but I do think there is some value to this video, and I do think I'm improving myself, and these are the things that I followed to improve myself. I thought I'd pass them on to you. Hopefully they can improve you as well as a player, and hopefully you can have more fun in climbing the PvP ladder, because it is very possible. So if you liked the video, go ahead and leave a like. We really appreciate it. Any other comments, any other tips that you may have, any other suggestions you may have, any questions, any doubts, leave everything in the comment section below. Make sure you read that comment section below, because there's bound to be some helpful stuff down there. There's bound to be some questions that you may have already answered down there, and I'd love to have a conversation with you in the comment section. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go and subscribe. We have plenty of other Guild Wars 2 guides in the channel, plenty of other Guild Wars 2 videos, summaries, lore recaps, patch recaps. We have PvP guides, PvE guides, lots of cool stuff on the channel regarding Guild Wars 2 and general gaming as well. So if you're interested, go ahead and subscribe. Would love to have you on board. And if you want to donate $1 to my Patreon page, you can do so as well. Click the card on the top right hand corner of the screen, it will bring you to the page. And if you want to check out the vlogging channel, tutorials channel, advice channel, music channel, links in the description and on the end screen. And I am serious, I do hate the engineers, and I think it's that class that constantly throws you around like a soccer ball, like I showed in the beginning of the video. I hate that, which is one of the main reasons why I like to have Tornado on some games, so I can be kind of like the engineers and be as annoying. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching as always, and this is GSmaniamsmart, and I'll be back sooner than you think. Don't go anywhere.